Please welcome NMPA President and CEO David Israelite and Vice President of Apple Music and International Content, Oliver Schusser.
All right. Oliver, I'm really excited that you're our keynote speaker tonight. I wanted you because I think you are the most powerful person in the music industry that people know the least about.
All right.
And
that's something.
My theory is that that's true for three reasons. First, your job is much bigger than just music. You obviously are in charge of all content on Apple, music being a part of that. Secondly, I think Apple culture is one where you don't do a lot of these things. And third, you seem like a really humble guy. So I hope people get to know you a little bit better in addition to talking about Apple Music. Let's start with maybe what drew you to music originally, and how does your passion for music influence the way you lead Apple Music today?
Can I first start by thanking you for having me and for putting us on here after Gracie Abrams? How awesome was she and how awesome was Veda? So thank you very much. I grew up in Munich, Germany, and when I made my first money as a paperboy, I started buying vinyls. And I remember the first vinyl I bought, which was an album by Falco, Einzelhaft. I don't know whether you remember that. And I got obsessed with music, and not just music, but content in general. And I was lucky enough to know early on that this is what I wanted to do in my life, with my career. And so as a student, all my work experience, my internships were all in the music and media industry. I was on Thursday afternoon, I was working in a record shop. I was interning at a radio station, at a TV channel. I was at BMG at the time for a summer. I even was a tour guide in a film studio back in Germany while I did my PhD. So I always wanted to be in media, and I've been at Apple now 21 years, and I oversee our music business and the business side of our TV business and a few other bits and pieces. So I guess I'm in the right position.
I've got some plot questions about friends and neighbors I'm going to ask you later from that. But you've been in Apple 21 years, but Apple Music in a few days is turning 10 years old.
Yeah.
And so, what have you learned about digital music in that 10-year span?
Well, if you look back and roll back the time, we started the digital music revolution 25 or so years ago with iPod and iTunes. And if you remember, we started with a campaign that was called 1,000 Songs in Your Pocket. It's kind of wild if you think about that. Nowadays, we have 150 million songs in the cloud available on any device, wherever we go, in the car, wherever we travel. So we've come a long way, and this is partially thanks to everyone in this room. We started off with 400,000 songs when licensing was really hard. But digital music has been incredible. First of all, let's start with the customer. And at Apple, we always think about the customer first. It's an incredible product. For $10, $11, $12, you get all the music ever recorded across all your devices. That is just fantastic for music
We hope
fans.
more soon.
But it's also grown the industry. And most people make more money today than they made at 25 years ago, which is really great. And it's also made the world a smaller place. It really helped like K-pop and Latin music and J-pop and other music from around the world to become popular. So I think digital music has been incredible. But thanks to a lot of people in the room here and a lot of other people watching, it's been a lot of work and a long journey to get here.
Well, I mean, obviously you've had a lot of growth under your leadership. But how do you define your core mission compared to when you first launched Apple Music?
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of services out there. We really focus on three things, and we think these are the three things that differentiate us from other services. First of all, we're all about music. We're in the music business at Apple because we love music, for no other reason. And we want Apple Music to be all about music, and we want it to be a product for music fans. And while other people are moving and walking away from music and invest in other content types and create sort of audio supermarkets, we're very, very focused in Apple Music on music. Secondly, we make every decision that we make based on artists and songwriters and what's good for them. And so we want Apple Music to be all about them. And that's incredibly important to us. And then thirdly, we're all about quality. We think music deserves to be listened at the highest quality. That's why we invented a new standard with Dolby Atmos. called spatial audio. And we also think that the curation of the service, which is made by humans, the design, the look, the features, should be all about quality. And so really, we think if you're a music fan, then Apple Music is the best service for you, because it's made by music fans. And that's what really matters the most for us.
This is obviously a room filled with music publishers and songwriters, and so how do you see their role in your long-term vision, and do you see a future where publishers might have more visibility or songwriters have more visibility or tools within Apple Music to support catalogs?
Well, we, of the 21 years I've been at Apple, I actually spent 14 in London. And I took the Apple Music job in 2018 in May and moved to California. And so I'm co-located between Cupertino, where we're headquartered, and LA. When I took the job, the very first thing I did was to create a publishing team. And you might remember that. It was in May 2018, just before the Ivors. And I think Eleanor Siegel is, I'm trying to see, somewhere here. She runs that team. And we created an end-to-end team that has, like, on the technical side, IS&T and ops and royalty reporting, but also business and content. And it was incredibly important for us to have a dedicated team that's just focused on songwriters and publishers and our relationships sort of around the world. And this matters a lot to us. And we have, if you look back, we really want to be a partner. Like I remember, like, you know, when we started Lyrics, we sat down together and tried to figure out, and it was at a time when the licensing model for Lyrics was not so clear, and the internet was littered with Lyrics being unlicensed. Same with, we launched a fitness service called Apple Fitness Plus, and it was at a time when I think the licensing for fitness services was challenged, because I think you were...
We challenged it.
Yeah, you did. And we sat down and tried to figure out the right way, how to do it. And the same is true for Apple TV Plus and so many more examples. What the team also does is, on a day-to-day basis, make sure that songwriters are properly represented on the service. We have, for every song, we have a credits feature. We can go in and see who wrote the songs, where they were written, when they were written, who performed them. On Apple Music Radio, we have shows like Deep Hidden Meaning, for example, behind the song. So it matters to us a lot. But again, we come from that side. For us, it's all about the music and the creators.
I think we feel that and appreciate that. The songwriting and music publishing community has been in what seems like a never-ending dispute with Spotify, a company that is constantly attacking songwriters and trying to cut what they pay. And now we're dealing with Amazon, who's also bundling, and we've seen a reduction in royalties in the last few months. I don't expect you to comment on your competitors, although you're free to do so. But maybe talk about how Apple approaches the relationship with creators that make the service possible.
I won't comment on our competitors. We always look forward.
I've got that covered. It's good.
Look, I don't even know there was a question, but it was a statement, and so maybe we should leave it like that. But we don't always agree, but we really do look at everything from the lens of the creators. And when we make product decisions, we always wonder, well, what's best for artists? What's best for songwriters? And not only that, we've got many other creators, like people who make videos and dances and all sorts of things. And so that is our approach.
So if you could redesign any part of the value chain, for songwriters in particular, what would you do to change it?
In music?
Yeah, in music.
I think it's crazy that 20 years in, we still offer music for free. I think it is a terrible mistake. We're the only service that doesn't have a free service. And that's not because the money or anything. As a company, we look at music as art, and we would never want to give away art for free. And so I understand there's maybe a time where maybe other people want to do that, but we're not 20 years in. And there's so many people who consume music for free. Let me give you an example. One of the things we do, we run a video service, you mentioned it, Friends and Neighbors, that's called Apple TV Plus. It's very successful, it's growing really fast, it's about 5 years old. And in January, we had the hottest and the most successful show in the world on Apple TV Plus, a show called Severance. You know what you had to do to watch Severance? You had to sign up to Apple TV Plus and pay $10.
Yeah.
It wasn't available anywhere for free. And I don't understand why Gracie's album would be available for free or Casey's. It just makes no sense to me. So we don't understand that, but anyway. We don't have a free service, and we will not have one. We have no plans to have one.
That is a fantastic answer. And of course, songwriters and publishers don't have a choice in that. Unlike record labels who can decide whether to license these services or not, publishers, songwriters are forced to do so whether they agree with a free model or not, agree with a bundled package or not. What do you think will define the next major shift in music consumption, and how are you preparing for it?
Well, I think a key part of that will be AI. And we just had our Worldwide Developer Conference, actually this Monday, 3 days ago. Yeah. And we announced a number of features for Apple Music that have AI and Apple Intelligence in it. And we think AI has, and we look at the positive sides first. We think AI has tremendous opportunity to help people discover music, to personalize the service, to make certain features easier, more fun. And as a product company like Apple, we focus on that. Yes, I do know there's obviously a lot of challenges, but we have, over the last decades, we've overcome all these challenges. And we're happy to sit down with anyone to discuss how we do the right thing as a technology company. We've already developed tools on our end to make sure we understand what's been sent to us, and we can take the right sort of measures if we feel like something was sent to us that shouldn't be sent to us in the system and all these things. But we do believe in opportunities. We launched Lyrics is a very popular feature on Apple Music, and we just launched or announced a lyrics translation, a lyrics pronunciation, which is coming with the new OS release in September. We have a new feature called Automix. And by the way, the lyrics translation is not 100% done by AI, but AI helps to speed it up a lot, and we still have humans that will make sure that the lyrics are translated properly. We have a feature called Automix that we announced, which sort of stitches in a playlist of songs together, like in a mix. And again, sort of machine learning and AI helps a ton with that. So we're really, really excited. But that's not the only challenge we have. I think there's a lot of artists that are unhappy with streaming. They don't make enough money. They find it hard to be discovered. So we have a ton of problems in the next decade. And we're here to help solve them.
That's great. So, I mean, you've had a career, obviously, that has roles in both technology and content. Can you think of a good example that describes your approach to how those two things intersect? I mean, you seem like someone who really cares about content, but yet you do work at a tech company.
We do. And for those of you who've seen some of Steve's keynotes, he's very, very often repeated that Apple sits at that intersection of technology and liberal arts. And we live the same in Apple Music every day. When we launched Apple Music 10 years ago, June 30th, 2015, it's crazy, we were worried, deeply worried, that streaming would make music a commodity, that people would press a button and would play music and algorithms would sort of take over and people would use that emotional connection to music. And especially the creative people on our team were deeply worried. So that was the foundation of why we launched Apple Music Radio. And Apple Music Radio, while it started as a linear stream of a radio station, is really much more than that. It's really the place where artists can come and meet our people, our creative people, and create content, whether it's a radio show or an interview, or it could be, I don't know, something for social media. It could be a performance with or without an audience. It could be artists coming together. And we have these studios around the world where that happens, including here in New York and LA. And so for us, Apple Music Radio is really at that intersection where, yes, we're a technology company, we make products, but we're also a content and a music company where we have an open house for artists. And as I said before, I think if you're a music fan, we want people to acknowledge that Apple Music was made by music fans for music fans, because you get all that additional sort of information and content about artists and the music they make.
Yeah. So how do you personally discover new music other than listening to openers at the NMPA annual meeting? By the way, I promised her some playlist time from Apple, yeah. So Beta, we'll see some playlists. But how do you find your new music?
I go to a lot of shows. I went to all 3 Coachella weekends, including Stagecoach, all 3 days each, afternoon to evening. I go to other festivals like Outside Lands. I've just last week been to 3 shows. But I watch a lot of content in general. I love watching TV and seeing what we do and what our competitors do. I'm lucky because when I'm in the office, I get to go to the studio, and when Zane Lowe interviews someone, he introduces me and they play me some new music. And I get to travel a lot. We learn a truly global business, and so everywhere I go, I want to meet local artists. And that's the greatest joy of our business. It's really fun.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people focus on subscriber numbers, on streaming numbers, but I'm curious as to how you judge success for the music service.
Yeah, we at Apple, the number one criteria for us is the product. That's when we wake up in the morning, we don't look at our numbers. We look at how does our product work? What do customers say about our product? What feedback are we getting? Whether it's directly in emails, on Reddit, or just through user data. And we're obsessed with trying to optimize and making our product the best. I would say the second thing that keeps us up at night is what do artists and creators and songwriters think about our platform? And how do they feel like we represent that work, the way it looks, the way it feels, and everything. And so those are our two core metrics. Yes, we do have a P&L, and we look at, I don't know, subscriber numbers and churn, and like everyone else. But that is true for everyone at Apple. We think a good product will market itself. If you have a bad product, then you have no chance in actually marketing the product.
So I'm going to get you out of here on this. I know you're an optimistic guy, and I'm curious as to what makes you optimistic about the future of the music business.
Well, just the two performances, listen to Veda, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so optimistic about the future. I do believe for a music fan, it's never been better. You have all the music recorded in the world available to you. You have more and more features coming that will make it easier to manage discovery, and as I said, maybe manage your library, so there's technology coming. The live industry has been booming, and it's great to see artists live, so I'm incredibly optimistic about the future.
Well, I want to tell you that you and your team are always great to deal with. The industry appreciated very much that you were the one company that didn't appeal the previous CRB victory.
Thank you.
And I know that the community very much appreciates you being here talking to them directly, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.